Hi everyone. I wanted to pop on and talk a little bit about stillness, which has been the theme of the majority of my posts lately. The reason why is stillness is where it all begins. Without being still and coming home to yourself, you end up continuously responding to seemingly external influences and actions and events without realizing you're the one that's actually creating them unconsciously, but you are still the creator of that reality. And so instead of you consciously creating the reality, you are responding to events that you think are external to you, and it's your job to bounce back and forth and respond to these external events. Instead, what you're doing is you're unconsciously creating these events based upon past events, and then you just loop them around and around to create your future reality. Let me say that again. So you take these past events that have happened to you, events and experiences that have happened to you, and you have some type of emotional experience around. So you hold on to them, and in the current moment, you use the past to create the future. So the events look slightly different, but if you look down to the basic elements of what is occurring and the emotional response that it creates in you, it's the same event, looping around and around, and then that becomes your life, that becomes your reality. So in stillness and sitting with yourself, you have a moment where you start becoming the observer of these events. Instead of seeing the event and having a trigger or a reaction to the event as if it is outside of you, it's having the moment where you separate yourself from the event and you become the observer and see the event in yourself. So in that space where you take that, and maybe it starts out as a millisecond or a second, but the first time you have the experience of seeing that you're an observer and looking on your reality almost as if it's a stage, almost as if it's a play, and there you are as an actor, scripted with the other actors that are in your life, in your reality, that's the moment you start seeing that you are not the person on the stage, you are the observer of that human experience on the stage that you have created. As you begin to be able to hold that space, the expansion of consciousness, if you will, you'll be able to distance yourself more and more from the reactionary person you believed yourself to be that is having an emotional experience about these seemingly random events happening in your life. And instead, you'll be able to hold the space where you see and observe you're not that event, and how similar it is to events that have constantly happened throughout your life. For instance, I used to always say, I dated the same man with a different face. Without realizing, I was recreating the same relationship dynamics with every man that I interacted with. So as you start becoming the observer and creating that distance, you start realizing that you have created these loops, and they can be called karmic loops. A little bit different than, the definition of karma out there is almost if it's a punishment. It's not a punishment, it's a lesson to be learned. And what happens is you, God, the universe, will keep creating that experience until you learn the lesson that you came here to learn about that experience. And then once you do, and you become the observer and realize you are not that experience, but you are the observer of it to learn the lesson from the experience, you can let it flow through you. And it loses all the power and grip it has over you. Where it seemed so real and so heavy and so important, and you realize it was just an illusion. It was just an experience that you kept recreating, almost like a loop on a movie reel, the old movie reels that just looped and looped. It's almost like that. And in that space, you start expanding it further, and you start becoming so in the present moment that you can begin to consciously start creating these experiences. And I call these experiences your life, your reality. So once you keep separating yourself from the actor on the stage, so to speak, the egoic mind that you've always identified as being yourself, and you see yourself instead as a consciousness watching and observing what's happening, you can start creating your own experience. And some people call it manifesting, and that's how it will first start appearing to you. All of a sudden you'll see synchronicities or coincidences that you start wondering, how do these things keep happening all the time? It's because you start manifesting and creating them. And as you become more conscious, you will start realizing you have the power to create every element and aspect of your life, of your reality.